Have you ever been in one of those conversations? Everything's perfectly calm, and then just bam! The whole atmosphere changes, a switch just flips, and suddenly you're feeling this white-hot surge of rage over something that on the surface seems totally trivial. You react, and boom, suddenly you're the one who started the fight. You're the irrational one. If that sounds familiar, you've probably walked right into what's called an emotional booby-trap. It is a confusing, absolutely infuriating experience that's designed to make you question your own reality. And that's the point. So in this explainer, we're going to carefully dismantle this nasty little tactic piece by piece so you can see it coming, understand it, and most importantly, refuse to fall for it ever again.
The conversation was calm, but the air just shifted. You feel suddenly enraged over something trivial. Why do manipulators intentionally make you lose control? This is the dark psychological paradox of emotional booby-traps, a calculated action designed to transfer blame. I mean, this just nails that feeling, right? That disorienting moment of emotional whiplash. The core of this whole paradox is that your emotional reaction, it isn't an accident. It is the entire goal. See, the manipulator isn't actually trying to win an argument. They're trying to provoke a reaction they can then turn around and use as evidence against you, making you the aggressor and washing their hands of any responsibility.
And that really brings us to the central question we've got to explore. Why on earth would someone want to engineer your loss of control? It just flies in the face of everything we think about healthy communication, right? In a healthy dynamic, the goal is to de-escalate, to find some common ground. But in a manipulative one, your emotional explosion serves a very specific, very strategic purpose. They're setting a stage, they're casting a play, and they need you to perform a very specific role, the unstable, irrational aggressor. So let's pull back that curtain and really examine the architecture of this psychological trap.
To do that, we're going to follow a pretty clear roadmap. First up, we'll uncover the unseen tripwire, so you can learn to spot the trap before it's even sprung. Then we'll get into the anatomy of the trap, to understand the manipulator's hidden goals. After that, we'll break down the three-stage attack in detail. We'll also explore the psychology of two minds, two motives, to see why this tactic is so powerful. And, most importantly, we're going to learn exactly how to disarm the mechanism, and finally, how to break that blame loop for good.
All right, let's start with section 1, the unseen tripwire. Look, to disarm any trap, you have to see it first. And in the moment, this whole thing feels chaotic and confusing, but what you're actually experiencing is a well-defined, very deliberate tactic. This isn't an accident. It's a tripwire placed with real precision, just waiting for you to step on it.
So the definition right here is crucial. And the key word, the one I really want you to focus on, is calculated. This isn't a simple misunderstanding. It's not someone just being clumsy with their words in a heated moment. No. This is a weaponized comment, a strategic action, or a deliberate omission, and it's chosen for maximum impact. The entire purpose is to trigger a high-intensity emotional reaction, not to communicate, not to resolve, but to detonate. The goal is to make your reaction so big, so seemingly out of proportion, that it completely erases whatever they did to cause it in the first place. Okay, now for section 2, the anatomy of the trap. So why? Why go to all this trouble? What does the manipulator actually get by making you lose your cool? Well, understanding their motivation is really the key to recognizing the trap before you step in it. At the end of the day, it's all about control, perception, and most critically, protecting their own incredibly fragile sense of self. It's kind of like a preemptive defense system for their ego. As you can see here, these goals, they all stack on top of each other, building this fortress of manipulation. At the very bottom, you've got plausible deniability. The bait is always subtle enough for them to say, "What? I was just joking," or "Wow, you're being way too sensitive." This provides cover for that next layer, ego protection. By making you the problem, by making your reaction the main issue, they never have to look at their own behavior. Your explosion becomes a shield for them. And with that shield in place, they can then secure external sympathy. They can go to friends or family and say, "You see what I have to put up with? They just blew up at me for no reason." And all of this serves the ultimate goal at the top, to validate their own claims of your instability. Your reaction becomes the proof they need to support their story that you are the unstable one.
It's really important to put this behavior in its proper psychological context. Now look, anyone can be manipulative sometimes, but this consistent, strategic use of emotional booby traps, that's a pattern of behavior often linked with narcissistic or passive-aggressive traits. For people who rely on these behaviors, maintaining a perfect public image and avoiding blame at all costs is everything. And this tactic is one of the most effective and insidious tools they have to achieve that goal.
Okay, this brings us to section 3, the three-stage attack. We get what the trap is and why it's set. Now let's get forensic. Let's break down exactly how it's deployed. This isn't some random thing, it's a structured, predictable attack sequence. And recognizing these stages as they're happening is the first, most crucial step to disarming the whole mechanism.
The entire process unfolds in 3 distinct acts, almost like a little play. It all starts with the bait deployment, that subtle, deniable provocation. This is followed by the intended result, the reactive explosion, which is your emotional outburst. And it all ends with the manipulator's checkmate, the blame transfer, where the narrative is completely flipped, and you are suddenly the one who started it all. So let's break each of these stages down.
Stage 1 is the sneakiest part, because it's designed to be almost invisible. The bait is carefully crafted to be just under the radar of what's obviously aggressive. A covert insult might be disguised as a compliment, like, "It's so great you're not worried about how that dress looks on you." A sudden rule change could be them deciding, right before you're about to leave for a party, that they're actually not feeling well and can't go. An intentional omission, well, that's when they conveniently forget to tell you something important they promised to do. Each of these is designed so they can deny it. They can claim it was a joke, a misunderstanding, or just forgetfulness. The power here isn't in one single act, but in the slow, steady drip of these provocations that make you feel more and more off balance and, frankly, crazy for even getting upset.
And that bait leads directly to stage 2, the reactive explosion. After being poked and prodded with these subtle digs, sometimes for hours, days, or even weeks, you finally hit a breaking point. The frustration, the simmering injustice, that dizzying feeling of being gaslit, it all just boils over. You raise your voice, you get angry, you might even cry. And right here, this is the most crucial part to understand. This moment of you losing control is not a failure of the conversation. It is the successful detonation of the trap. They wanted this. They engineered it.
And the second you explode, the manipulator executes stage 3 with stunning speed, the blame transfer. They immediately pivot. The conversation is no longer about their backhanded compliment or the broken promise. It is now 100% about your reaction. They'll say things like, "See, this is exactly what I'm talking about. You're hysterical." Or, "I just can't talk to you when you're like this." The original issue, the bait, is completely gone. It vanishes. The only thing left on the table is your unacceptable behavior. The narrative has been flipped, and they are now the calm, rational victim of your crazy anger. So why is this trap so devastatingly effective? Why do so many smart, self-aware people fall into it time and time again? Well, it works because it exploits a fundamental psychological mismatch between the manipulator and the target. The two people in this dynamic are operating from completely different rulebooks with totally different motivations. It's like they're playing 2 different games on the very same board. This trap works so well because of this fundamental mismatch. Let's look at the manipulator's side first. Their core motivation is impunity, basically freedom from any consequences. Their goal is something called supply maximization. They literally get a charge, a sense of power, from your intense emotional reaction. And the outcome they want is simple: transfer the role of the aggressor from them to you. Now let's look at the target side. Your vulnerability? It's your sense of justice. You have this deep moral need to address unfairness. Your driver is emotional honesty, the belief that you should be open about your feelings and that conflict should be resolved honestly. And the tragic result of this clash is cognitive collapse, where your emotional brain just hijacks your rational one, leading to the exact outburst the manipulator was banking on. They are literally weaponizing your own integrity against you. Okay, we have analyzed this trap from every angle. We know what it is, why it's used, how it works. Now for the most important part. How do you disarm it? How do you see that tripwire and just refuse to step on it? It's not about being stronger or smarter. The answer is in a simple but powerful strategy: radical non-reaction. The manipulator is counting on your immediate, predictable, emotional reaction. So your most powerful weapon is the one thing they don't expect you to use: time. Just a few seconds can be the difference between falling into the trap and sidestepping it completely. And that's why we're anchoring our entire defense strategy in this one number: 5. The 5-second pause.
Disarming this thing is a 2-step process. First, you have to interrupt your own automatic reaction. When you feel that surge of anger, that hot flash of injustice, your number 1 job is to consciously hit the brakes. Take a deep breath. Count to 5. This isn't about suppressing your feelings, it's about giving the rational part of your brain a chance to catch up with the emotional part, which is currently screaming, danger. Once you've got your composure back, you move to step 2. Expose the tactic. You calmly and factually name what just happened. You don't accuse, you don't get emotional, you just state the observation, like a scientist. And here's a perfect, practical script for what that sounds like. Let's say the original issue was about shared finances, a really serious topic. To derail it, the manipulator subtly does something they know is a trigger for you, like moving your keys where you can't find them. Instead of yelling, "Why did you just do that? You always do this," you pause, you breathe, and then you say calmly, "I noticed that when we started talking about the budget, you moved my keys. I'm not going to get sidetracked by that. Let's stay focused on the original issue." You see? You're refusing the bait, you're exposing the trap and redirecting the conversation, and you keep all of your power.
And that brings us to our final section, breaking the blame loop. Look, understanding this pattern isn't just about winning a single argument. It's about breaking a destructive cycle of blame and manipulation that, over time, can completely destroy your sense of self and your perception of reality. It's about taking back control of your own emotional state.
So let's bring this all together. At their very core, emotional booby-traps are the trap they set so you walk into conflict first. The whole strategy is designed to make you the initiator, the one who escalates, the one who breaks the calm. They create the dry tinder and the gasoline-soaked rags, and then, after one tiny deniable flick of a match, they blame you for the inferno.
And the mechanism is always the same predictable playbook. It kicks off with the subtle, deniable bait deployment. This is specifically designed to trigger the predictable reactive explosion from you. And that explosion is immediately and expertly used to execute the blame transfer, flipping the narrative and casting you as the villain of the story they were just waiting to tell.
But this loop has a critical weakness. It relies entirely on your predictable emotional reaction. That means awareness is the tool that breaks the whole thing. When you can see the bait for what it is, a provocation, not a real point, you change the entire game. By mastering the 5-second pause, you interrupt your own programming. And by learning to calmly name the booby trap, you expose their strategy and you make it completely powerless.
And this is the final, most empowering takeaway. Every single time you refuse to react, every time you choose a calm, factual observation over an emotional explosion, you are doing one critical thing. You are refusing to provide them with the very evidence they need to build their case against you. You are refusing to star in the role they wrote for you. By staying calm, you are not losing the fight. You are winning the war for your own sanity and your own stability. You are disarming the trap by simply refusing to step in it.